So what is the Kickstarter for?
This Kickstarter is for the Monsters and Treasure of Aihrde. It's a book that originally came out in 2011 as a softcover book. We re-released it in 2012 as a hardcover book, and we're down to about, I don't know, maybe a dozen copies, and we got to keep this guy in print.
Okay, I'm familiar with some monster books, but what is the Aihrde? What is the world of Aihrde?
The world of Aihrde is the de facto campaign setting for the Castles and Crusades game. Now, it's designed actually where you can play it. You can use any game system really to play it, but it's for Troller Games and for CNC. It is our de facto campaign setting. It originally came out in 2000 at Gen Con 2000, and this was the little book that we released it with, the After Winter Dark, a fantasy campaign setting. That sold really, really well, so we decided to do a second edition of it, which was the Codex of Aihrde, which came out in 2001, and this is a monster 250-page book. That stayed in print for a while, and then when D20 collapsed, we re-released it, kind of as a shout out to the original Greyhawk setting that came out in a folio set, and we did a folio that had 2 books in it with all the information, a bunch of maps and heraldry, pictures and all that. But recently, for CNC, and the folio was for Castles and Crusades. For CNC, we've just released the Codex of Aihrde, this giant hardcover book. It's got a fold-out map in the back. It's full color, the whole 9 yards. A massive tome, and the Player's Guide to Aihrde is coming out. So we're wanting to keep this Monsters and Treasures of Aihrde in print for a certainty.
Okay. Well, so you've got the book, and you're planning to produce this book. Are there other things? Are there other Aihrde supplements?
Yeah, absolutely. Aihrde is an extraordinarily dynamic world for those people who have got into it. And you can actually scroll to the bottom of the Kickstarter and read a really good review of the setting. It's very vibrant. It's very adaptable to whatever you're playing in. So we've got a ton of stuff planned for it. A bunch of small supplements that will kind of hone in on each section of Aihrde. And then we've also got in the works Gods and Monsters of Aihrde, which will be a complete, study of all the gods and mythic monsters, huge high-level monsters that we got for the thing. So yeah, we've got lots coming out for Aihrde.
Okay, and now, quick question: is it limited to Aihrde?
What do you mean? Oh no, absolutely not. You can take each monster entry and treasure entry is done in kind of its own stat block, like a standard monster entry is done. And then after it, there's like 2 or 3 paragraphs. It's if you're playing in the world of Aihrde, this is where this monster comes from or what it does in Aihrde. Otherwise, you can use the monster book in any setting. It doesn't matter, any setting, almost any game, because you can convert the monsters if you wanted to do that. But if you have your own homebrew setting and your own homebrew campaign, you're good to go.
All right, so I could take this and basically play it anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, how much is you think this is going to cost?
Well, we're going to do. We definitely don't want it to go out of print. So we've angled for a perfect bound first, $2,500. We fund that, and then we'll go to a $5,000 funding for a full hardcover. And that's if we do it $5,000, we'll do exactly as it is now, clean it up a little bit, fix the experience points charts and stuff like that, and reprint as is. Now, if we do better than that, if we hit $6,500 or $7,500, as you can see in the stretch goals, we'll actually add all kinds of stuff to it. My hope is that we can get a good 250 pages of content here, which will increase the book by a third easily, and cull all the monsters we have from other things, put them in, and cull just some new monsters as well, and new treasures as well, put it all in there. And if we're really, really lucky, we'll get her in color, just like the Codex of Aihrde.
Okay, yeah. Because most of the Castles Crusade stuff is now in full color as well,
right?
Correct?
The Player's Handbook, CKG, the Monsters and Treasures, Codex of Aihrde, and the Player's Guide to Aihrde will be in full color too. So it'd be great to get the M&T of A in full color.
Okay, well that sounds good.
All right. Well, thank you much.
Thank you.
Pledge to the left or right or whatever. I can't remember.